Hey guys, this is Class Wars Preliminaries for February 2016. I have a pretty big BR setup here with my Hecate, with my best set of gear. I also have a red Frigga now, so I did do the video refining Freya into Frigga, and then just recently I put a lot of advanced Mahra into her. I didn't end up doing a video of that just because it's the same Mahra cost as when I made Hecate red and when I made Venus red, and I've done videos of that before. It's almost exactly 20,000 advanced Mahra. Actually no, it's just 20,000 advanced Mahra to go from 1-star orange to a red Sylph. It was just shy of 20,000 this time around, and I think it was just over 20,000 advanced Mahra when I did Hecate and Venus. So, for future reference, that's how much advanced Mahra you need, and I decided to just go for it. Now Frigga is actually higher BR than my Hecate, even with a worse set of gear. So my best set of gear, all six pieces are red, are on my Hecate, and then for Frigga, I have 2 pieces of red gear and 4 orange. And then I was sort of stupid. I really should, just out of, best practice, make sure no funny business goes on. I should have put my Goddess of Prosperity on instead of my Medusa, but I think my Medusa was already in the setup, so I just threw Frigga in there and thought it would be fine. So my BR for prelims could have been a little bit higher, but I made it into Warlord's Hall just fine. Which, the point of watching a prelim video is not really, whether or not I can make it into Warlord's Hall anymore. It's more about being able to, get a feel for some of the top players, see what the range of players look like, which I think not only will Warlord's Hall look a little bit different this time around, I think the top players will. I think Knighthood changes the game completely. I have pretty much zero prospect of being able to win Class Wars this time around. I think what's really rare for me is to not bet on myself for finals, which is of course why I've not won a lot of wagers in Class Wars. But usually I will not bet against myself. In this one case, I will bet against myself and not put myself for first in Class Wars because I just don't think it's going to happen. At all. Like, zero potential. I think if Chile doesn't win Class Wars this time around, it will be a really huge shock. It will either be due to him disconnecting or having, like, the most horrendous deflect against maybe Asher or, potentially Ray, but I think he should be able to beat Ray. Ray hasn't gotten Knighthood either, so I think Ray and I are not, super big contenders. Ray might be able to fare a little bit better because she has the 2 Friggas. She has all those shields going in her favor, whereas I only have 1. So I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes. I think Ray has more potential to do well without Knighthood than I do at this point, and otherwise. So I think it might be Ray and I battling it out for third or 4th place, something like that. I don't even know if I can do that well this time around. I think Asher has a good chance of getting 2nd this time because he does have Knighthood. Here's Christy. Christy's able to get into Warlord's Hall without too many issues, so I was a little bit surprised to see her 3rd round. Let's say, could have waited a couple of rounds to see her. I was worried here, I still have my kid on. Everything's just staying alive a little too much and taking quite a bit of AoE damage from her, but she is healing a lot, so I just wanted to keep on hitting her to make sure that I could get a timer win if I couldn't finish her off. But this helps. I get the little buff from Medusa, so maybe it is good that I had Medusa on instead of Goddess Prosperity. I don't have that 30% damage buff on my Medusa. On my Goddess Prosperity. But I do manage to kill her before the timer, which is good. Never want things to go to timer if you can finish things off quickly. Or before the 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Up against Perfect, and Perfect I think at one point was high enough BR to get into Warlord's Hall, but now I think might have slipped a little too low. If you have relatively competitive stats that are, close to getting into Warlord's Hall, and then previously if you were one of the people who pushed for the merge sylphs, then I think it would be enough to make it into Warlord's Hall. Now I think everybody's getting, or at least most of the top players have at least one merge sylph. I think now that Shay got a couple of merge sylphs from Sacred Tree, I don't think there's anybody left in Mage Warlord's Hall without a merge sylph. I think Archers, Robin is still going and doesn't have a merge sylph, and then out of the Knights, I mean, they haven't had a non-merge sylph player in God knows how many months. So yeah, that's where we're at. Last month, you know, I think was the last month that I could have gotten away with the type of win that I did. So it was pretty nice timing that I managed to win with a win sylph, and then, you know, at the time, Frigga was Freya, and I also had another win troop, and it just worked out well. The res was in my favor and everything. Now with Knighthood, it's just too difficult with the talents. You know, even if you got rid of the Knighthood skills themselves, I don't think they're so special that it's, you know, outrageous. But yeah, I mean, regardless of the skills and everything, just the talents alone are very, very troublesome. It means that my opponents have very, very high reduced res, and they have either good resistances, or some of them have good tenacity and intensity. And so those are very difficult to deal with. And particularly the reduced res, I'm just at such a defensive disadvantage. You know, usually, at least for most players, unless somebody is picking on your weakest res, you know, I can defend against most players. My HP will be enough. I won't take insane amounts of damage. But against the people with Knighthood, and they almost all dump, you know, 10 points into the reduced res, and so it's pretty frustrating. You know, I spent months sort of building up my resistance crystals. I bother to do expert dimensions to an almost annoying extent, and now, you know, people can dump Bound Balins into the talents for reduced res, and so even if they have really crappy crystals, they double the resistance. I mean, their reduced res on crappy crystals is still a lot of reduced res. So yeah, so defensively, I'm having some trouble with the Knighthood players. The big skills, I mean, it's sort of whatever. There, Mighty Cleo wishing me luck. I hope she does do well in finals. I'm sure she made it into Warriors Hall for finals. But she's saying she needs a little bit more than luck. I'm going to need a little bit more than luck to be able to really pull off anything this time around. But again, at least with the Mage class Knighthood class-based skills, it's not too much of a problem if it weren't for the reduced res and the fact that a lot of them have huge magical attacks stats from just building up their tattoos. But most of them are not going to be an issue. Chili hits incredibly hard, Asher hits pretty hard, and some of the other mages can, you know, hit middle of the road. But for the players who don't have huge magical attack yet, they're not going to hit me that hard with the mage skills just because I have high MDef. So that's not a huge problem. Really, it's just the talents. The talents are ridiculous. There, I'm surprised to see a damage minus 18%. That might just be when the troops hit me? Not totally sure. But when Asher hits me, for sure he's doing plus 18% damage. So that means that his reduced res is higher than my resistance is. Which, I guess isn't that hard to do. I only have 3 light crystals and 3 dark crystals in here, because on a regular basis I just have 3 of each resistance, so I don't change around the proportions of my crystals. So for finals that might be different, but at least for prelims I don't bother to switch them around. So it's not, you don't need a ton of reduced res, at least by Mage Class Wars Warlord's Hall standards to have an increased damage on me. Here's Ice. Ice gets a really nasty stun on me and does a really just nice job. Not just this fight where she does very well, but we have another fight and she's just gameplay wise looking really good. which I think doesn't surprise me that much. I don't know that much about Ice as a player. I think this is maybe the first time that she has enough BR for Warlord's Hall. Not totally sure, but I feel like I haven't seen her in Warlord's Hall before. Here, I did not know I was going to take quite that much damage from the Delphic, so I go into Sylph mode, and I should have hit my heal rune, and instead I hit my Guardian rune, which is really dumb. And so Guardian rune, when I have that little health, is pointless, right? I'm about to be hit by another Delphic, so I really needed that heal rune. And potentially would have died anyway, but I was in Sylph mode, so I was going to take less damage than when I was in class mode. So yeah, anyway, heal rune would have been a better bet there, but I may have still lost. That's a tough situation to recover from, and getting a nice stun. I mean, it's lucky, but it's also, you know, worth it. So everybody goes after those types of things, and it's worth a shot, and worked out for her. For him, I mean, gender is so difficult in Wartune. And there I was talking to Blin a bit about, he was going on about how he beat somebody with like 800k more BR than him, and I was like, not to make you feel bad, but a little bit exaggerated, but I told him that, you know, 800k BR these days is like 2 donuts and a level 9 will crystal, which is, I mean, a small exaggeration. Well, let me think. It's 10 BR per resistance point. So from my resistances, I get, well, not quite 20k each. You know, 100k, 120, maybe 120k resistance total. A little more than that. So yeah, not, well, yeah, okay. So actually 800k BR, at least for my resistances with my dimensions, is not unreasonable. I might get more than that from my resistances alone. So yeah, I mean, 800k BR could just be just about anything right now. And then Karma got a stun on me in that fight as well, so I was just saying, you know, like, I've been rather disgruntled with Wartune lately, and I was just like, you know, are they punishing me for being mad at them right now? Because I was just taking a lot of stuns. Well, there, I get one. And what's going on here? I don't know why I was I was skimming through, you know, just trimming up this video. I was like, why was I typing so much? Usually I don't talk that much with the guildies. Maybe I was just thinking, okay, this prelims or this class wars in general is going to be a wash. It's going to be really difficult, so I was just chatting around. XX Ruby X actually holding up quite well, so not super familiar with her, but again, you never know who's sort of going to pop up. With Wartune, I mean, with Wartune, the later you cash, almost the better. You know, pretty much categorically, it's better to have cash later than not later. You know, if you cashed early on, you probably were making a bunch of investments that now do not matter at all. But yeah, you push a bunch of money these days and make your way up pretty nicely. Or I just am super unfamiliar with this person. I'm terrible with names. There's potential a million different ways that I would not be familiar with this person. Again, seeing Water, Sylph, and an Arise. I don't know if it's just like mages like Arise, and so they build up Arise, and so they use the Arise as a troop in order to have higher BR for prelims. I'm not totally sure. I don't know why else you would have Arise as a troop. I mean, they have Infernal Inflammation, which could increase the amount of damage that you deal to the player, but I don't think that's any better than something you could get from a Wind Sylph. Obviously, Wind Sylph could buff you up 30% damage for your whole party. So, yeah. And another good luck, and hope everybody does well in Warriors Hall and in finals. Here's my buddy Shay. Can't miss a prelims, or can't go at prelims without seeing Shay at least once, and he's acknowledging that as well. He's got Heke on, and I'm surprised I'm not... Oh, okay, his Freya's in the back. So Shay did dump a bunch of Balins into Sacred Tree. I don't know how much in total, but probably over the past few months he's mentioned putting some into Tree. Before, I think... Well, I don't know. Definitely don't know the sum total of Balins that he spent, but I think he's gotten 2 merge sylphs from Sacred Tree at this point, and he's probably spent less than whatever it would cost to merge 2 sylphs together. So I mean that's a good bet for him. The rates have definitely gotten better now, so I mean it's a decent time to at least try it. You have a better chance now than before, but I don't know if it's something I'd still risk. At least for me, I already have Venus and Heke set up to merge for Odin, so it's a lot more of a, crapshoot whether or not I'm gonna use the tree or go after Odin. I might just go after Odin at this point just because I don't have the advanced Mahra yet. Well, the advanced Mahra, I mean, if I recharge in order to do the tree, might have enough. It takes 20k advanced Mahra to go from 1 orange star to a red sylph, or right around 20k. Depends on your luck a little bit, but I mean, that's a very accurate estimate. And just chatting a bit about who I was seeing. I mentioned that fight against Ice where I got the nasty stun, and no Chili, and I don't actually end up seeing him throughout prelims. I think I took too many losses. I don't think Chili was gonna take any losses against really anybody, and so if I take as many losses as I have taken, especially early on, there's a very low chance that I'll see him. So he probably saw Asher and who else was probably doing very well, but I don't know, anybody with a better record than myself. Maybe Ray also. I do get 1 fight against Ray though. And here's Ice again, which is good because I wanted to be able to adjust, and there's a low chance that she's going to be able to get a nasty stun on me twice, and so I knew I could probably have a little bit of redemption here, fix up the strategy. Not sure how I feel about her trying to heal the kid here. I think that's a little bit unnecessary. But who knows? And plus the Knight Delphic, I mean, the Knight is not a terrible idea. The Delphic does have a chance to stun me, so she has 2 chances to stun, 1 with her skill and 1 with the Knight Delphic. The Knight Delphic isn't based on influence though. So I get into Sylph mode, go straight for my Guardian rune because my Frigga's shield isn't up yet, so I use that to protect myself at first. Try to go after the troops. She gets a really, really nice chaos on me, and my kid is still alive. Which, Panda, there's no way that Panda's going to make it into my finals setup. There's no way I'm bringing a kid in finals. Not going to happen. But in prelims, that chaos was beautiful. So that was a really, really nice job. She just timed it super well, so I was thoroughly impressed. And that gives her enough time to get the Freya, all the shields on and everything. So that's good stuff. Now I'm in a bit of a bad spot. She's back in Sylph mode, and I am running out of options. To take 1 Delphic, 1.39 million crit, but do manage to get her. I think she probably took a deflect there. I didn't quite catch it. And then it looks like her Freya's dead, but needed 1 more hit. But yeah, just a very, very nice fight. So gameplay-wise, she's looking real good. Here's Big Bailey. You can see the gear. I mean, you can tell from the skills that he has knighthood, but he also obviously has the armor for knighthood, and so he's probably done a bunch of the MPs in order to get that. Here's a skill. I forgot the name of it, but it's going to boost up the number of awakening points he has very quickly. So you see he's ready to go into Sylph mode much earlier than I am. And that means I'm in a bit of trouble. There's potential for his troops to steal me, and so he could keep me out of Sylph mode for quite a while. He has Odin, so at least there's not 3 steals, but there are 2. So I make it into Sylph mode without too many issues, but I was actually surprised. There was potential for him to just keep me out of there and hit me really hard. Goes after that AoE healing Delphic. He does take out takes out Medusa, but not the Frigga. So here I thought I was actually in a pretty good position. I think, well, let me see what kind of resistance he has. Me, I have plus 3% damage, so I'm not, my reduced res is helping me, but not a whole lot. Come on, hit me. Alright, so when I'm out of Sylph mode, he has plus 29% damage on me, so that means his reduced res is way higher than my dark resistance, so that is not good. Especially when we're going to the 100% bonus. So yeah, that's bad news for me. I thought I had him. I was so close. Really, had I just gotten the Thunder out, I would have won. And instead, he gets me with a Delphic, and I lose. So that's a first, you know, losing to Big Bailey. Honestly, it's either a name change or coming out of nowhere, or both. But I think Big Bailey, I don't know, I don't think that's a name change. But yeah, it really made, I mean, Big Bailey ends up being second in BR out of all the mages, so obviously has come up very, very quickly. I don't know if that's enough to really place in Warlord's Hall. There's a difference between suddenly gaining an enormous amount of BR and being able to place in Class Wars. One, it's just a gameplay thing. Two, if you're a less experienced player, you know, that actually can matter. There are plenty of people who can, you know, jump in BR and do well in Warriors Hall, but that's not everybody. A lot of people sort of just need to get their feet wet. So we'll see. Definitely is making progress towards a tune that could be a really big problem for the rest of the mages. I just don't know if she'll be able to pull it off. That'd be interesting. Here, my last fight is up against Ray, or at least I think this is the last fight. And I was just saying that I thought I wouldn't see my girl Ray all night, mostly because I felt like my record was not good enough. And again, still thinking that Ray can fare against some of these players better than I can. And that seems to be true. You know, she has her setup that she would probably use for finals already in prelims, whereas I'm using a setup that I probably will never use for finals. I don't think I'll bring a Dark Self to finals. I don't know about Wind either, but I don't know. Well, I mean, I could bring Dark and try and go for timer wins. There's some potential there. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm not holding up against Ray very well right now. Not so good. And, I mean, Ray's gonna have some trouble this time around as well, but I mean, Ray's pretty sneaky. I would like to see somebody without knighthood do really well, so I'll be cheering her on to try and beat Chili and Asher and all of that stuff, but I think it's going to be tough for her too. And there, I get the failure on the timer, and I mean, that makes sense. I was just getting hit all day long, and I wasn't able to stay in Sylph mode very long, so that's like just an obvious win for her. And so I was just saying I was just gonna go cry by my statue about how much I lost during prelims. It's really not a big deal for prelims. I think Ice really got a nice, well-deserved win there, so that was a good one. And the other ones, you know, it happens, so it's not the end of the world. So I placed 11th in prelims, and then I'm 8th in BR overall. So I'm still actually on the first page of the BRs. Last time in prelims there was something weird with the BR where I was 10th, which I think was like a mistake. But anyway, yeah, so they have Chili there with like 11 point something million BR, and again Big Bailey second. So I think we're gonna see a really big shift. As far as wagers go, people have asked me. I think Asher is probably somewhere up there. I think he can figure it out. I think Chili's an obvious first, and then for third, I mean, maybe Big Bailey, maybe Ray. I think I'm going to have a rough time managing anything up there, so I don't think it's worth trying to wager on me, you guys. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Good luck to everybody in finals. Take care, and have a very good day.